Deep in the remote wilderness lies Echo Pines. Locals whisper tales of this place, a place where darkness lingers, where the trees hold secrets. For years, hikers have vanished within its depths, their stories a chilling reminder of the forest's grip. This is the legend of Echo Pines. Elijah Holt, park ranger, he knew Echo Pines like the back of his hand. Until one day, he vanished without a trace. His last transmission sent chills down their spines. Don't follow the whistling. Sounds like us, but it's not. The line went dead. The legend of the Whistler was born. Meet the group. 5 college seniors. Rachel, the level-headed one. Jake, her boyfriend, obsessed with the paranormal. Lena, quiet and anxious. Danny, the jokester. Omar, the skeptical pre-med student. Their destination, Echo Pines. Little did they know the forest awaited them. Their first stop was the ranger station. The air hung heavy with the scent of pine and something else. Miriam, the park ranger, greeted them with a weary smile. She told them about Elijah Holt, the missing ranger. Her voice dropped to a whisper as she spoke of the Whistler. "Don't trust any sounds you hear out there," she warned. "The forest, it plays tricks on your mind." Her words hung in the air, a chilling reminder of the danger that lurked within Echo Pines. With backpacks loaded, they ventured into the woods. The forest canopy swallowed the sunlight, casting long shadows. Lena shivered, pulling her jacket tighter. Jake was eager to explore the mysteries. They set up camp by the lake, a picturesque setting masking unease. The forest listened and waited, and the first night in Echo Pines settled upon them like a shroud. The silence was almost absolute, broken only by the crackling of their campfire. A sense of unease settled upon the group. Even Jake seemed subdued, his gaze darting nervously. Rachel tried to shake off the feeling of being watched. The forest held its breath, a predator observing its prey. They shared stories, their voices a fragile shield against the darkness. The forest amplified their deepest fears. The next morning, a palpable tension hung in the air. Jake insisted on gathering firewood, masking his unease. He ventured deeper into the woods, his silhouette swallowed by the undergrowth. Minutes stretched into an hour, the silence broken only by distant chirping. Rachel and Omar exchanged uneasy glances. The forest had transformed into a labyrinth of shadows and whispers. Nightfall brought no relief. The forest came alive with unsettling sounds. Then came the whispers, faint at first but growing louder. Lena broke down, claiming to hear her name being called. Rachel tried to comfort her, but felt they were being watched. The whispers grew louder, weaving into their dreams and fears. They were no longer visitors, but prey. Dawn painted the forest with an unsettling light. The search for Jake began. Omar, racked with guilt and fear, pushed on relentlessly. Rachel meticulously examined the forest floor for any sign of Jake. But the forest held its secrets close. Lena, paralyzed by fear, trailed behind, her eyes darting nervously. The whispers were growing louder, taunting her. Just as their hope began to dwindle, a flash of color caught Rachel's eye. Jake's backpack hung from a branch. Inside, they found Jake's phone and a voice recorder. Rachel pressed play on the recorder. Jake's panicked voice filled the air, followed by a chilling whistling sound. "Run!" Jake's desperate plea echoed. The recording ended abruptly. They were not alone. Rachel noticed something strange about Jake's phone. A single haunting image, a tall, shadowy figure with long limbs. The legend of the Whistler was real. Even Omar couldn't deny the evidence. They were trapped in a nightmare. They made a pact to find a way out of Echo Pines, but the forest had other plans. The fire sputtered, mirroring their dwindling hope. Lena accused Danny of mimicking Jake's voice. Rachel tried to maintain control, urging them to stick together. The forest had already begun to turn their fear against each other. Every rustle of leaves sounded like approaching footsteps. The forest was tightening its grip on their sanity. Morning brought no solace. The forest had transformed into a labyrinth. Rachel realized they were hopelessly lost. The air grew heavy with an unnatural fog. Omar pointed to a tree trunk with a crude spiral symbol. Lena gasped, her reflection gone from a puddle. The forest was warping their reality. As twilight painted the sky, Lena finally broke. She pulled Rachel aside, her face pale. "I have to tell you something," she whispered. "Something I haven't told anyone." Rachel urged her on. Lena's voice sent shivers down Rachel's spine. "The voices in the woods tell me things. They say, I belong here." Lena was already lost. "Lena, no, don't listen to them!" Rachel's pleas were swallowed by the oppressive silence of the woods, her voice barely a whisper against the overwhelming darkness. Lena, her eyes glazed over and distant, had already stepped across the invisible line, drawn in by the forest's siren song, a melody only she could hear. Her hand slipped from Rachel's grasp, her touch cold and unfamiliar, as if she were already a part of the forest. It was as if the Lena she knew, the scared girl who feared the woods, had vanished, replaced by something else, something not entirely human, something hollow and vacant, a shell of the person she once was. "It's okay," Lena's voice echoed back, warped and distorted, as if carried on the wind. "I'm home." The words sent a shiver down Rachel's spine. The words hung in the air, a chilling epitaph to their shattered friendship, a testament to the forest's hold over Lena. Rachel, her heart pounding in her chest, wanted to follow, to drag Lena back from the clutches of whatever had ensnared her, but she hesitated. But a primal fear, cold and sharp as a shard of ice, rooted her to the spot, paralyzing her with dread. She was utterly alone. Surrounded by the whispering trees, the unseen eyes that watched her every move, she felt the weight of their gaze. The forest, no longer a place of beauty and wonder, had become her prison, a suffocating cage of shadows and whispers, a living nightmare. Her breath hitched in her throat, each inhale a struggle against the growing panic that threatened to consume her, her mind racing with fear. Clutching Jake's voice recorder like a lifeline, she stumbled back, her eyes darting frantically around the darkening woods, searching for any sign of escape. She had to get out, had to find a way back to safety, had to escape the clutches of this place before it claimed her too, before she became another lost soul. But the forest had other plans, its tendrils already wrapping around her sanity, whispering her name, promising her oblivion, pulling her deeper into its embrace. The night stretched on, an endless cycle of fear and exhaustion, each minute feeling like an eternity. The moon, a pale ghost in the overcast sky, offered little comfort, casting long, distorted shadows that danced and twisted around her as if mocking her plight. The whispers never ceased, a constant murmur just beyond the reach of her hearing, weaving tales of despair and madness, filling her with a sense of dread that gnawed at her sanity. She stumbled through the undergrowth, her body screaming for rest, her mind teetering on the precipice of collapse. Each step was a battle, each breath a struggle. The emergency beacon, her one last hope of rescue, remained stubbornly dark, a beacon of despair rather than salvation. She pressed the button again and again, her thumb raw, her heart sinking with each failed attempt. The futility of her actions weighed heavily on her. The red glow mocked her, a cruel reminder of her isolation, a symbol of her fading hope. The forest had claimed her friends, and soon it would claim her too. She could feel its malevolent presence closing in. She stumbled upon a stagnant pool, its surface reflecting the twisted trees and the oppressive weight of the sky. The water seemed to hold secrets, dark and foreboding. As she leaned in, desperate for a single drop of clean water, her reflection rippled and shifted, transforming into something monstrous, something that mirrored her deepest fears. Gone was her own terrified gaze, replaced by empty black eyes that stared back at her with chilling amusement, as if the forest itself was toying with her. A scream tore through her, raw and primal, echoing through the silent woods. It was a sound of pure, unfiltered terror, but there was no answer, only the mocking laughter of the wind and the rustle of unseen things moving just beyond her sight, adding to her growing sense of paranoia. She was a prisoner in a world gone mad, a world where the line between reality and nightmare had blurred beyond recognition, leaving her trapped in an endless cycle of horror. The forest whispered her name, a chorus of voices, seductive and cruel, echoing through the night. They promised her peace, an end to the fear. If only she would surrender to their call, to the darkness that beckoned. She saw figures moving in the shadows, their forms familiar yet distorted, their voices a chilling echo of loved ones long gone, haunting her every step. Her mind, stretched thin by exhaustion and fear, struggled to distinguish reality from hallucination. "Jake! Is that you?" she called out, her voice trembling. Her voice, hoarse and desperate, broke the silence, shattering the eerie stillness of the night. But there was no answer, only the mocking echo of her own voice reverberating through the trees, taunting her. The figure in the shadows turned, its face obscured by darkness, an enigma wrapped in fear. For a fleeting moment, she thought she saw Jake's familiar grin, but it vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind only a chilling emptiness, a void that consumed her. She sank to her knees, her body racked with sobs, the weight of her solitude crushing her, the forest's grip tightening. The forest had taken everything from her. Her friends, her hope, her sanity, leaving her utterly alone. She was a hollow shell, a vessel for the whispers that now echoed in her own mind. A prisoner of the forest. The forest pressed in, its embrace both suffocating and comforting, a paradox she couldn't escape. The whispers grew louder, their voices merging into a single hypnotic drone, a symphony of madness. She closed her eyes, surrendering to the darkness, her last coherent thought a single terrifying question. Who am I? The forest seemed to answer with a whisper. You are ours. Dawn broke over Echo Pines, painting the sky in hues of pale gold and rose. The forest, bathed in the soft light of a new day, appeared almost serene, its previous night's horrors nothing more than a fading nightmare. But the silence was deceptive, the peace a cruel illusion. In a secluded clearing, hidden deep within the heart of the woods, the backpacks of the missing hikers hung from the branches like grotesque ornaments. Jake, Omar, Danny, Lena, their belongings the only testament to their existence, their souls claimed by the entity that ruled this domain. At the edge of the clearing, shrouded in shadow, a figure stood watching. Tall and impossibly thin, its limbs elongated and unnatural, its face a blank canvas of pure terror. The Whistler, the entity that haunted Echo Pines, feeding on the fear and despair of those who dared to enter its domain. It had claimed another victim, adding her voice to the chorus of whispers that echoed through the trees. The forest remained, silent and watchful, its hunger never sated, its secrets buried deep within its roots. Echo Pines had claimed its due, and it patiently awaited its next victims. They found Rachel 3 days later. On the outskirts of Echo Pines, she stumbled out of the woods. More dead than alive, her clothes were torn, her body covered in scratches, but the physical wounds were nothing compared to the terror etched on her face. She could barely speak, could barely remember her own name. The doctors called it a form of shock, a defense mechanism to cope with the unimaginable trauma she had endured, but some things, some whispers lingered in the broken fragments of her memory. It sounds like you. But it's not, she would mutter, her voice a broken whisper. Her eyes, vacant and haunted, seemed to hold the reflection of the horrors she had witnessed. The search for the others continued for weeks, but Echo Pines held its secrets close. They were never seen again. The legend of the Whistler lived on, a chilling reminder that some places are best left undisturbed, some whispers unanswered.
The shadows are restless tonight, and so are we. If you're brave enough, hit that like button. Let us know what you think in the comments. And subscribe for more spine-tingling stories that lurk just around the corner.